Two raccoons meet in a space where they have never met before. One raccoon is from this territory, the other raccoon is from a different territory, perhaps far from here, perhaps just beyond the boundary line. The first raccoon considers this space to be her home, the second raccoon is a stranger. And in that moment, when the stranger enters the territorial space, something changes. The first raccoon's behavior shifts, the first raccoon's posture changes, the first raccoon communicates a message that is unmistakable. This is my space, you are not welcome here. What happens next is not random, what happens next is not chaos. What happens next is a sophisticated social negotiation, a hierarchy assessment, a territorial dispute negotiated through a complex set of signals and behaviors and sometimes physical confrontation. The raccoons are not simply fighting over territory like mindless animals. The raccoons are negotiating, the raccoons are communicating, the raccoons are establishing a social order that both of them will honor. Tonight you are going to understand what raccoons do when they encounter a raccoon from a different territory, and you are going to understand that raccoon society is far more sophisticated than you ever imagined. Welcome back to Hidden Backyard Wildlife, the channel where we sit with the small wild lives that share our yards and try to understand what they understand about the world. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe before this video is over, because what you are about to learn is going to change the way you understand animal society, because you will finally understand that raccoons have rules, that raccoons respect boundaries, that raccoons communicate hierarchy through sophisticated social signals. Today we are walking through 8 things raccoons do when they encounter a raccoon from a different territory. What each of those things reveals about the complexity of raccoon social structure, what researchers have discovered about territorial behavior in raccoons, and why a raccoon would risk physical confrontation to defend a space, because territory is not simply a location. Territory is identity. Territory is the space where a raccoon knows herself. Stay with me from beginning to end, because revelation number 6 is the one that explains the neurochemistry of territorial aggression, and revelation number 8 is the one that will make you understand that raccoon society operates on a set of rules that are as sophisticated as human rules. Boundaries are respected, hierarchies are established, territory is sacred, and the negotiation of these things happens through signals and behaviors that are subtle and profound. The encounter is not random, the negotiation is not chaos, the hierarchy is established with precision. The first thing a resident raccoon does when she encounters a raccoon from a different territory is recognize that this is not a familiar raccoon. The raccoon's brain is constantly building a mental map of the individual raccoons in her territory. The raccoon knows the scent signature of each raccoon she regularly encounters. The raccoon knows the body characteristics. The raccoon knows the individual personality and behavioral patterns. When a new raccoon enters the territory, the resident raccoon's recognition systems immediately signal, this is not a known raccoon. This recognition happens through multiple sensory channels simultaneously. Scent: the new raccoon's scent is unfamiliar. The resident raccoon's olfactory system detects the stranger's scent and signals the difference from known raccoons. Visual appearance: the new raccoon's size, coloring, body markings, and gait are assessed. The visual system compares this new raccoon to the known raccoons and signals the difference. Behavioral signals: the new raccoon's behavior, vocalizations, and interaction style are different from known raccoons. The difference is immediately apparent. The resident raccoon's brain rapidly categorizes, this is a stranger, this is not a member of my social group, this is an unknown entity that requires careful assessment. This is not a conscious thought in the way humans think consciously, this is rapid, automatic processing, but the result is clear. The resident raccoon knows that something is different. The resident raccoon knows that this raccoon is not familiar. Researchers studying individual recognition in animals have found that many species demonstrate sophisticated ability to recognize individual members of their own species, with raccoons showing particular aptitude for recognizing familiar versus unfamiliar individuals through multiple sensory channels, suggesting that individual recognition is a sophisticated cognitive system in raccoons. The recognition is immediate, the difference is apparent, the stranger is identified. The moment the resident raccoon recognizes the stranger, she begins to assert her territorial claim. The resident raccoon does not wait. The resident raccoon does not hesitate. The resident raccoon communicates immediately, "This is my territory." The territorial assertion happens through multiple channels. Body posture: the resident raccoon's body shifts, the posture becomes more alert. The body language communicates, "I am the authority here." Vocalization: the resident raccoon may vocalize. The vocalizations can range from warning chittering sounds to more aggressive vocalizations. The sound communicates the message, "This is my space." Scent marking: the resident raccoon may engage in scent marking behaviors, marking the area with her scent to reinforce the claim that this space belongs to her. The scent mark is a chemical advertisement, "This territory is claimed." Direct approach: the resident raccoon may move directly toward the intruding raccoon. The approach communicates, "I am not allowing this intrusion." All of these assertions are happening rapidly. The resident raccoon is not being aggressive in the sense of attacking. The resident raccoon is asserting a claim. The resident raccoon is saying, "You are not welcome here." Researchers studying territorial behavior in carnivores have found that residents show immediate and escalating territorial assertions upon detecting intruders, with residents showing rapid initiation of territorial communication and positioning behaviors, suggesting that the assertion of territorial rights is an immediate and prioritized response. The claim is asserted, the message is clear, the territory is marked as belonging to the resident. While asserting her territorial claim, the resident raccoon is simultaneously assessing the intruder. The resident raccoon is evaluating, "How large is this raccoon? Is this raccoon larger than me? Is this raccoon smaller than me?" The resident raccoon is evaluating, "What signals of strength or weakness is this raccoon displaying? Is the raccoon's posture confident or defensive? Is the raccoon's body language signaling aggression or submission?" The resident raccoon is evaluating, "What is this raccoon's apparent status? Is this a young raccoon or an older raccoon? Is this a strong raccoon or a weak raccoon?" The resident raccoon is evaluating, "Will I be able to dominate this raccoon if a physical confrontation occurs? What is the likely outcome if we fight?" All of these assessments are happening in parallel. The resident raccoon is gathering multiple types of information to create a composite picture of the threat level and the likely outcome of a territorial confrontation. This assessment is sophisticated. The resident raccoon is not making a binary decision. Is this raccoon a threat or not? The resident raccoon is assessing on multiple dimensions: size, strength, age, experience, dominance signals, willingness to fight. The assessment will influence how the resident raccoon proceeds. If the intruder appears weak or young, the resident raccoon may escalate the territorial assertion. If the intruder appears strong or experienced, the resident raccoon may be more cautious. Researchers studying social assessment in animals have found that many animals demonstrate sophisticated ability to assess the dominance and fighting ability of rivals, with animals showing particular accuracy in assessing size, strength, and status indicators, suggesting that dominance assessment is a fundamental social cognitive skill. The assessment is running continuously. The evaluation is happening in real time. The information is shaping the resident's response. The resident raccoon now enters the phase of communicating hierarchy through body language. Body language is the primary language of raccoon social communication. Raccoons cannot discuss the issue through words. Raccoons communicate through their bodies. Dominant posture: the resident raccoon holds her body in an upright, confident posture. The body language communicates, "I am the dominant raccoon here." The chest is puffed. The head is held high. The bearing is commanding. Intense eye contact: the resident raccoon maintains intense eye contact with the intruder. In raccoon communication, sustained eye contact is a dominance signal. The stare communicates, "I am willing to challenge you." Facial expressions: the resident raccoon's face shows expression. The ears may be rotated. The mouth may be slightly open, showing teeth. The facial expression communicates, "I am serious about defending this territory." Proximity and spatial control: the resident raccoon controls the space. The resident raccoon moves closer or maintains a specific distance. The spatial positioning communicates, "I control the space here." Tail positioning. The resident raccoon's tail may be held high and bristled. The tail language communicates, I am alert, confident, and ready. All of these signals together create a coherent message. I am dominant here. I control this territory. You are subordinate to me. The intruder is receiving this message. The intruder is interpreting the body language. The intruder is assessing whether to challenge or to submit. Researchers studying nonverbal communication in animals have found that body language signals of dominance are remarkably consistent across primate and carnivore species, with dominance signals including upright posture, direct eye contact, proximity control, and facial displays, suggesting that these signals constitute a universal language of dominance communication. The hierarchy is being communicated, the dominance signals are clear, the intruder is receiving the message. Now the intruder responds. The intruder must decide, will I submit to this raccoon's dominance claim or will I challenge her? If the intruder decides to submit. Submissive posture. The intruder's body becomes lower, the ears may flatten, the body becomes smaller, the body language communicates, I acknowledge your dominance. Eye contact breaks. The intruder looks away. The avoidance of eye contact communicates, I concede to you. Retreat. The intruder backs away. The retreat communicates, I accept that this territory belongs to you. These submission signals are clear. The interaction is resolving without physical confrontation. The intruder is accepting the resident's dominance. But if the intruder decides to challenge, dominant counter posture. The intruder mirrors the resident's dominant posture. The intruder also stands upright. The intruder also holds her body confidently. The intruder is communicating, I also have status here. Sustained eye contact. The intruder holds the eye contact. The intruder does not look away. The sustained gaze communicates, I will not submit to you. Forward movement. The intruder moves toward the resident. The forward movement communicates, I am willing to engage. Aggressive vocalizations. The intruder may vocalize. The sounds may be chittering, growling, or more aggressive calls. The vocalization communicates, I am willing to fight. These challenge signals are escalating the interaction. The situation is moving toward physical confrontation. Researchers studying agonistic interactions in animals have found that animals communicate both submission and challenge through body language signals, with these signals serving to either resolve disputes through communication or to escalate toward physical confrontation, suggesting that body language communication can either de-escalate or escalate social conflicts depending on the nature of the signals exchanged. The response is being given. The intruder is making her choice. The interaction is either resolving or escalating. This is the revelation that explains the physiology of territorial aggression, and it is the moment when you understand that the resident raccoon's aggressive response is not just behavioral. The resident's entire neurochemistry is being mobilized for territorial defense. When a resident detects an intruder in her territory, the sympathetic nervous system activates. The territorial aggression systems in the brain become activated. The amygdala, the emotion and aggression center, becomes highly active. The stress hormones flood the system. Cortisol and adrenaline are released. The body prepares for action. But beyond the stress response, there is a specific neurochemical system related to territorial aggression. This system involves testosterone in both males and females. Territorial aggression in mammals often involves elevated testosterone, which increases aggression and boldness. The system also involves dopamine, the reward neurotransmitter. Successful defense of territory activates dopamine systems, providing a neurochemical reward for territorial defense. The raccoon experiences a satisfaction or pleasure from successfully defending her territory. There is also an oxytocin component. Oxytocin is involved in social bonding and in-group preference. The oxytocin systems may contribute to the resident raccoon's stronger commitment to defending her own territory as part of her social identity. The result is a profound physiological activation. The resident raccoon's entire being is mobilized for territorial defense. The resident is not making a calm, rational choice. The resident is in a state of territorial aggression neurochemistry. This state is intense and temporary. If the intruder submits and retreats, the territorial aggression neurochemistry will begin to decline. If the conflict escalates to physical confrontation, the territorial aggression neurochemistry will intensify further. Researchers studying territorial aggression neurochemistry in mammals have found measurable elevations in testosterone, cortisol, and dopamine during territorial confrontations, with the neurochemistry of territorial aggression being distinct from general stress or general aggression, suggesting that territorial defense activates a specific neurochemical program in the brain. The neurochemistry is activated, the resident's being is mobilized, the aggression is neurochemically driven. If the intruder does not submit and if both raccoons continue to escalate, a physical confrontation may occur. But this physical confrontation is not a free-for-all. The confrontation follows specific rules. The rules are part of raccoon society. Both raccoons know the rules. The rules are: the confrontation is typically brief. It is not a prolonged fight to the death. The confrontation is usually a matter of seconds or a few minutes. The raccoons are not trying to kill each other. The raccoons are trying to establish dominance. There are off switches. If one raccoon clearly submits, if one raccoon shows clear signs of giving up the fight, the other raccoon typically stops. The winner does not continue to attack a raccoon that has already conceded. The fight ends. The tactics are constrained. The raccoons do not use tactics that would be fatal. The raccoons do not go for the throat. The raccoons do not use their claws in ways that would cause catastrophic injury. The fighting style is constrained by rules. The outcome determines hierarchy. The winning raccoon is established as the dominant raccoon. The losing raccoon is established as subordinate. The hierarchy is now clear. Both raccoons know who is dominant. After the confrontation, the loser typically accepts the territory claim. The loser retreats. The loser avoids the winner's territory. The hierarchy is established and honored. This is not chaos. This is ritualized combat. This is a system for determining hierarchy and territory without requiring constant lethal conflict. Researchers studying agonistic behavior in carnivores have found that many species engage in ritualized combat where escalation is restrained and submission is respected, with winners typically ceasing attacks once submission is evident, suggesting that animal combat is governed by rules that both combatants implicitly understand and follow. The fight follows rules, the outcome determines hierarchy, the system is sophisticated. And this is the revelation that explains the deepest meaning of what happens when raccoons encounter each other. The resident raccoon has established something far more profound than simply controlling a location. The resident raccoon has established her identity. Territory is not abstract for a raccoon. Territory is not simply a place where resources exist. Territory is the space where the raccoon is known. Territory is the space where the raccoon's identity is established. A raccoon spends years in her territory. The raccoon knows every tree, every den site, every resource location, every escape route. The raccoon has marked the territory with her scent. The raccoon has established herself as the presence in this space. The territory is woven into the raccoon's being. The territory is not something she has. The territory is something she is. When an intruder enters the territory, it is not simply a threat to resources. It is a threat to the resident raccoon's identity. It is a threat to the world as the resident raccoon knows it. This is why the resident raccoon responds with such intensity. This is why the territorial aggression neurochemistry is so powerful. This is why the resident is willing to risk physical injury to defend her territory. The resident is defending herself. The resident is defending the world that she is. And when the intruder submits or when the intruder is defeated, the resident has affirmed something. I am who I am. This is my place. I am known here. This is profound. This is not mindless animal behavior. This is an expression of identity and belonging. And the intruder, when she retreats, is also respecting something fundamental. The intruder is respecting the resident's right to a place in the world. The intruder is respecting the established order. This is what raccoon society is built on. Raccoons honor territory. Raccoons respect the established hierarchies. Raccoons know their place in the social order. This is not oppression. This is not domination in the way humans think of domination. This is a system that allows multiple raccoons to coexist in the same general area while each raccoon having a recognized territory and a recognized place. Territory becomes sacred because territory is identity. The boundary between one raccoon's territory and another's is a boundary between two beings. The boundary is respected because the boundary respects the other raccoon's right to exist as a known, established being in a known, established place. When a raccoon defends her territory, she is defending her right to be who she is. When a raccoon respects another raccoon's territory, she is respecting the other raccoon's right to be who she is. This is the social order of raccoon society. This is what is happening when two raccoons from different territories encounter each other. They are not simply fighting for resources. They are establishing and maintaining the fundamental social order that allows both of them to exist as known, established beings in a known, established world. That is not a small thing. Before I go, I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer in the comments below. Have you ever witnessed two raccoons meeting? Have you observed the territorial assertion? Have you seen the body language communication? Have you watched the hierarchy being established? Tell me about it. What did you observe? How did the raccoons communicate? Did you see submission or confrontation? How did the encounter resolve? What did you learn about raccoon society from witnessing it? The stories this hidden backyard wildlife community shares are some of the most extraordinary I read every week. And every single one of them matters because every single one of them is a story about the sophistication of animal society. If anything in this video changed the way you understand raccoon behavior, if it changed what you will see the next time you observe raccoons in your territory, share it with someone who would understand. Sometimes the right perspective at the right moment changes not just what we notice but how we move through the world. Thank you for being here at Hidden Backyard Wildlife. The next time you see raccoons interacting, pause, recognize that a social negotiation is happening. Recognize that hierarchy is being established. Recognize that the rules of raccoon society are being enacted. Territory is sacred because territory is identity. The boundaries are respected because the boundaries respect each raccoon's right to be who she is. The raccoon defending her territory is not being mindless. The raccoon is defending her identity. The raccoon is defending her place in the world. The raccoon is saying, "This is where I am known, this is who I am." That is profound. I will see you in the next one.